God grant us the courage and the patience and the wisdom to seek always after the truth, come whence it may, cost what it will. Amen.
Amen.
Have you ever heard of saint cookies? Well, I had neither. But Nadia Bowles-Weber is a Lutheran minister who founded and was the pastor of the House for All Sinners and Saints Church in Denver, Colorado, until just about 4 years ago. And she wrote about saint cookies in her charming little book, Accidental Saints, Finding God in All the Wrong People. It seems that every year at that church, the parishioners make hundreds of little gingerbread people, little men and women, that they decorate as their favorite saints. And not just St. Francis or St. Margaret, but saints as they teach there, and the Episcopal Church teaches, that saints with a small s means all of us. As our hymn says, those of us still striving and those of us at rest. We are all saints of God. And when Nadia discovered that there was a woman named Alma White, who in 1901 founded a church in Denver, she got very excited because she didn't know any women who had found a church, and she was very eager to make a saint cookie for Alma White. So she started to look her up. In her zeal, she got a little surprise. She says that her excitement grew as she looked up Alma White and read, Alma Bridwell White, June 16th, 1862 to June 26, 1946, was the founder and bishop of the Pillar of Fire Church. In 1918, she became the first female bishop in the United States. She was noted for her feminism and, wait for it, her association with the Ku Klux Klan, her anti-Catholicism, her anti-Pentecostalism, her racism, and hostility to immigrants. Confused and bewildered, Nadia says the next day she called her Episcopal friend, Sarah, and explained with enthusiasm, and Sarah explained with enthusiasm, send me her name, and I'll add her to the litany of saints that we read on All Saints' Day. Well, Nadia goes on to write, she didn't want Alma White on the litany of saints. She said, I want my racists to stay in the racist box, and I want my saints over here in the saint box. When the racists start sneaking over into the saint box, I get nervous. But that's how it works. On All Saints' Day, I am stuck with the sticky ambiguity of saints who did bad things and sinners who did good. I've always thought knowing the difference between being a racist and being a saint was kind of important. But now I am wondering if our need for pure black and white categories is an incorrect way to judge. After all, the Bible is full of mixed messages. Moses was a murderer. Aaron was a cheat. Peter denied Jesus not once, but 3 times. Knowing what category hemlock is in might be a help in my knowing not to drink poison. But in what category to place myself and others is more complicated. What we celebrate in the saints is not their perfection, but a God who gets redemption done and holy things done in this world through flawed saints like us. Former presiding Bishop Edmund Browning writes, different kinds of holiness are valued in different eras. Most of the saints of the early church were martyrs. Most of them renounced family life and were venerated for their celibacy. Many of the saints of the medieval period were kings and queens, like St. Margaret, for whom this church is named. Many 19th century saints were missionaries. Most of the figures on today's Episcopal calendar were and are active participants in the political struggle of their times, like Dorothy Day, Harvey Milk, and Martin Luther King, Jr. Our presiding bishop, Michael Curry, often asks his congregations, what did you do with your dash? He says, look at the tombstones in a graveyard. You'll see the date someone was born and the year they died. And in between those 2 dates, there's a dash. What you did with your dash is what makes you a saint or not. Maybe one year, St. Margaret's will decide to make saint cookies. And there will be one for you and one for me, and maybe even one for Alma White. But until then, let's each of us and this congregation as a whole work on how we use the dash that God has given us. How about that? For they're all of them saints of God, and I mean to be one too. Amen.